Welcome to the Real Estate Talk podcast with myself, Oliver Ingalls, and my esteemed colleague, Benji Weinberger. In this podcast, we try to give you the nuggets, the tips, the advice, and the stories to help you in your career. If you found anything of interest, please like, subscribe, and share. We would be much appreciative.
And as you can see, it is just the four of us today, and we are talking all things social media and personal branding.
Yeah. Although these two
they won't add
at times.
I don't think they'll add much.
So personal branding. This is a huge topic, and one that we are certainly very passionate about. I suppose the first question is, what is personal branding?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I don't think I know the answer.
How would you define it? And I think there's probably a few definitions, and I can give you mine afterwards.
Thank you.
But how would you define it?
Well, branding, I think, is when someone sees something, what do they think? So, for example, the brand that our business has built, DDRE Global, people associate that with prime, super prime, luxury real estate. So that's the brand that this business has built. I guess on a personal level, the same would be, this face, my face. What is the brand that I am trying to build? And I guess, my expertise is, a North London agent in the prime and lower ends of super prime market. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my brand or my personal brand. And ultimately, when you leave a big corporate company, you're left with your name.
Yeah.
And that's what we mean by personal brands. Like, what am I taking away with me? Who am I?
Yeah.
I think
that's a really good answer. You're exactly right. It's about how you want to be portrayed by others and what others think of you when they might see your face or they hear your name. What ultimately do they believe that you do? What's your reputation like? And also what you like outside of work. We know that now people need to be relatable. And I've told you many stories before about how I've been walking down the Marylebone High Street and, people have tapped me on my shoulder going, your son's incredibly cute. Now that for me is part of my personal brand.
Yeah.
Like they know that I've got a son. They might know I like football. We go to the gym every morning. But ultimately the personal brand overlining all of that is that he's a good real estate advisor that works in the prime and super prime marketplace. Okay. Let's go back then. When we both started our careers, was personal branding ever a thing? When do you think it ever got first mentioned to you?
Well, I mean, in our industry, it's not been a thing until kind of social media has come into play, because there hasn't really been the brokerage model, which is very much dependent on the individual. It's all been kind of the corporates. Perhaps there's been smaller independents that aren't massive corporates, but they are in a way hiding behind a brand.
Yeah.
Right. When I was at Knight Frank, my friends used to take the piss. I was Benji Knight Frank. It was all I spoke about, but I was hiding behind the brand. And it was one of the things that I was very conscious of when I was leaving, that it was Benji.
Yeah.
Wasn't Benji from Knight Frank. So I don't think there's really been a need for personal branding until the emergence of digitals has kind of come into real estate, especially in the UK. I mean, perhaps it's happened across the pond and in other markets, but not in London. So I think it's probably since social media has been seen as a professional way to market homes and to market yourself. I actually did a LinkedIn post about this on yesterday morning, talking about my worry for the agents who you go through their Instagram page and it's just property. There's no personal, there's no face. It could be anyone behind that page. Whereas, as you said, because you have put Alfie on your Instagram story, you talk about Ipswich, people get a sense of who you are, and that's your brand. And I am concerned for people who haven't adopted it. But I would probably say it's since the emergence of socials, which has probably been 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because how I see it sometimes is a bit like a pyramid. And I think we discuss this a lot, where at the top of the pyramid is the brand. and everyone underneath it were the staff. Okay, so all the employees. And when you were younger, you used to push the brand. So you used to push Knight Frank. Okay, wherever you go, you used to push Knight Frank, or whatever company that you work for. You pushed. So you'd wear all their branding. You'd push out their marketing online, but you wouldn't do anything about yourself. Whereas now, I think that triangle's gone a bit like that, where, like you said, for us at DDRE are at the bottom, okay? They are the brand, but they support us in pushing out our personal branding above. And that's what I think the difference between these agencies need to change, is that actually they should start to rely upon all of their employees being the brand for them and the face of their business. Whereas you were never the face of Knight Frank. It was always Knight Frank, and you were just behind it, pushing it.
In my head, I was.
In your head, you were. And that's what I think has changed slightly. And I think you're right. When social media now, 10 years ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago, started to get bigger, that switch has changed. And actually now, if you look at digital platforms, the people who have, the accounts which have the biggest audiences are people. They're not brands. And that is super interesting.
But that scares the big corporates, right? Because you have individuals that become bigger than the brand.
Yeah.
You know, there's individuals, we won't name names because just won't, but there's people that we know that are in companies that have a bigger brand and have a bigger following than the company, which is insane to think. But then again, it's not insane. It's completely understandable because people buy into people. Yeah. And we so often see agents that, perhaps move around or leave corporate, go independent, and the clients go with them. Yeah. Because it's who, the brand can't sell a home. Yeah. The brand can give exposure and the brand can open doors, but the brand itself isn't doing the job. Yeah. It's the individual. So, I think the corporates are mindful of that. And we've all heard, from different people on the podcast and just stories in industry where, big corporates don't endorse and advise agents to go and build their digital profile because they know that if they build that Instagram handle is theirs. Yeah. And if they leave, they take that community with them. Yeah. Which is, in a way it's exciting though, because so often you've had to rely on a big corporate to open doors to get you listings. But if you, have your own brand and, we've got people in the business that have 50,000 followers on TikTok, they can go out and get business from socials. Yep. Aisha is about to close a rental at, I think she was telling me before, 20,000 a week or 20,000 a month from her own network, from her own community. Yeah. That's super powerful.
Massively. Okay. So people are watching now, probably sat there going, yeah, fine boys. Like I understand, like we need to start building digital brand, but how do I do it? Like, where do I start? For the person who sat there now, who's like, I know I need to do it for the future, but what do I do?
Okay. It's the most basic answer in one word: start. And what I mean by that is so many people they look at what we do and they're like, wow, like hats off, respect that. Just couldn't do it myself. Well, no, you can. Yeah. You just sign up to Instagram and everyone has it anyway. Yeah. Make a professional account and start documenting your journey. Yeah. And people spend far too long procrastinating and worrying what people will think that in the same time someone else is posting and capturing that space and people's attention, that it makes it harder for you to get into that space. Because nowadays, I mean, we're fortunate that we're in a business that endorses it. We've been doing it for a number of years, that we are, I'd like to think, at the forefront of real estate, social media. Yeah. Whereas if you're not, the longer it takes you to start, the harder it will be. Yeah. And I think one thing that I told myself when I really kind of just didn't give a shit and just started posting was, I asked like the closest people to me, do you remember what I posted yesterday? And none of them had a fucking clue. Yeah. And this was my wife, my in-laws, my best mates, and they didn't remember what I posted yesterday. So I think when you get into a space of not caring so much about people ridiculing you, then you kind of just don't care. Yeah. And you kind of understand the value of why you do it. Every post you do, if it's a reel, could blow up. Yeah. And could go viral because each piece of content is in its own right. And if it's good content, that could get you on your way, but start.
Yeah. It's a brilliant point. And do you know what? I was speaking to someone the other week who told me a really good analogy. They said, on social platforms now, nobody wants to see the fit guy with the six pack. Okay. They want
Thank
to
God for
see,
that.
they want to see the guy who's overweight, but they want to watch his journey.
Get fit and get the six pack.
That's what people buy into. And that was a really good analogy, which I think I'll take with me wherever we go, because I have had younger people reach out and they'll be like, yeah, but Ollie, you know what you're talking about. You can give the advice online. You're showing beautiful homes. Like, of course, people are going to want to listen to that. How can I offer the value if I'm in it for a year? But actually, I'm saying people want to know your story. People want to be part of your journey. People want to be part of your learning. You can document that every single day. You can say, do you know what? I learned this today. Super interesting. Or I did this call today and it really didn't work. And I know that I'm not going to do that again. And people get inspired by being on that journey. My sister watches people on TikTok that eat food. They sit in there. They're just eating like a cheeseburger.
They make all the noise.
Yeah. And she's absolutely addicted to it. Like she's used to this family who are just a normal family, you know. And I'm like, why are you watching? I love them. I feel like I'm part of their journey. And that's all you've got to do.
And just adding to that, in terms of, I know you've said advice of what would you advise? And I just said start. I think the other thing is people love authenticity.
Yeah, massive.
Because often Instagram, social media is a snapshot in one's life at that moment in time that happens to be positive, right? You go through someone's grid and it's just sold this, done this, just all positivity. But actually, the day-to-day journey, as you said, the story and doing stories about negative things, about things that didn't go well and didn't go according to plan. I think people, maybe in a sadistic way, they prefer that.
Yeah.
Because they realize that it's reality. And there's a lot of people that I've spoken with, they've asked for advice and opinions in the business, out of the business. And I've said, your page is too polished. It's too nice. It's too edited. It's too perfect. And as you said, people don't like perfection because it's not real.
Yeah.
Because life isn't perfect. People lose deals. People, cry. People lose people. Like, there's shit that goes on in everyone's life.
Yeah.
And if you're only documenting the sales and the highs, people won't buy into it.
Yeah. I go back to my one. I get more reactions from like Alfie. I mean, I went to the gym this morning and I posted a story about going to the gym. I probably had 15 comments on it. And people start relating to it. Like, I think one guy was like, oh, what did you do in your push day? One person was like, oh, you're inspiring me to get out of bed. Like, that's more than actually for me showing a 20 million pound house. But the good thing about the brands that we're trying to build is that we offer, and we call it infotainment, don't we? Which is a really key word. You need to be informative, but entertaining. And there's a very fine line. And I think we're all still learning about that fine line in the middle, where you want to come across as knowledgeable and consistent and an expert in your field, but you also need to be entertaining. And trying to find that balance is super hard. But when you hone in on the things that work, just keep replicating it. Just keep doing it every single day and try new things and get in front of camera. And trust me, it's super hard, isn't it?
It's very hard.
Being in front of camera for the first time, and trust me, you'll all do this and you will have done it. You do 50 takes of you talking about something for 20 seconds. And you're like, I don't like the way I said that.
Yeah, the worst is when my pet hate is when I'm walking, and I often film around the office.
Yeah.
I'll jump out of my car. I don't know why, and I need to get over it. Although a friend of mine who is he's like an influencer. He's got, I don't know, 1 million whatever on TikTok. And I said to him, like, I feel really awkward when I'm walking and I can see in the camera there's someone behind me and I just feel awkward. He was like, he said 2 things to me. 1, they don't give a fuck.
Yep.
And 2, are they going to pay your mortgage?
Yeah. And also 3, like, everyone does it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone does it now. It's not, we were talking just before the podcast about 7-8 years ago when I first started to do some social stuff and like people would make fun of you. What are you doing on fire? You look like a dipstick. Like, what are you doing? You look like an idiot. But now, actually, it's the opposite. When you see people do it, you actually want to encourage them.
I respect
You're like,
it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you're on there trying it and doing it. Because the people out there now sat there going, oh, it's never going to affect me. Like, it's okay. I don't need to do it. I'll be fine. I'll be fine for the future. Like, let's talk now a bit about the future and like how this is going to help. Like, why do it, Benj? Why build a personal brand in real estate? Why is it so key now for the person sat there who is at the corporate company and it's like, yeah, it's all cool. Like, I've got my listings. My brand's bringing in a certain amount of deals. Like, I don't need to. I'm happy here. Like, what are you going to say to that person?
Well, everyone is always on their phone. Business generation is probably the hardest thing in our industry. As an independent, obviously as a global corporate, you have business that comes in the whole time. So for me, I need to think, where is the customer? Because I need to be closest to the customer. I need to be found by the customer. And we realized that firstly, London is a very global market, that clients come from all over the world, especially at the moment. The biggest two buyers in the UK real estate market are US and East Asia, right? So they're not walking down Marylebone where our office is to walk in. So the footfall of one's office is now irrelevant, but everyone is on their phone. So that's where I need to be, and I need to somehow be in their face. And if I'm not on LinkedIn, if I'm not on Instagram, if I'm not on TikTok, I have zero chance of meeting that person, unless obviously you have referrals, which is a separate side. But social media is a massive way for us to get business. But it's also our digital profile. And by that, I mean, when you'd walk into the high street, you would give your CV, or if you were going to meet a prospective seller, they might do research on their Knight Frank website or whatever. Now they'll go to my Instagram. And I got a bit scared about it, but
because this happened recently.
This happened on Friday. My initial reaction was, it was really weird. But then I sat and I thought about it. I was like, no, this is the exact reason why I do it. I went to show a house, and it was a pre-exchange visit. And the husband, who I hadn't met before, was like, I know everything about you. I've seen your podcast. I know what football team you support. I know who your wife is. And I know that you love playing football. And I was like, when someone says that to you that you've not met before, you kind of, I was a bit taken aback. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, so happy to hear that. But inside I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But then when we were walking around, like, I felt like I was with a friend. And he felt like he was with a friend. So there was just no problems. We were just having a chat, a catch up. There were no issues. It was like, yeah, great. We just sorted the deposit. We'll gonna give the green light to the lawyer to exchange, and we'll celebrate once the deal's done. That's why I build my digital profile, because when I go to meet someone, they kind of know me. And when I pitch for a piece of business, whether it's before or after, they will do their research. And they might not like the fact that I support Arsenal and I play a lot of sport. They might not like that, and they might not do business with me, but there'll be a lot of people that like that. Like you said, people will see that you've got an amazing child, that he, is all over your Instagram, and you'll get business from that. I have got a question, just talking about the social profile. And if someone came to you and said, but I'm happy to do all the posting, but I look at your profile and what are you, 11,500 followers? I'm on 8. I've got 150 followers. Do you think I should buy followers? What's your view on that?
Look, ultimately, by buying followers, what are you really getting out of it? As in, if I go and buy 10,000 followers tomorrow, they're not real people. They're bots or whatever they are. So there's no value in it. But the way I build my socials is that I don't need 1 million followers or 300,000 followers.
It'd be nice.
Okay. But I'm targeting potential clientele for me for the future. Okay. Because I'm not there to sell £20 t-shirts. I don't want to have a mass following where suddenly then I will sell t-shirts to everybody, and my following means that I can sell £20 t-shirts. We deal in the high end. We're dealing with the high end of the marketplace. So I would rather have quality viewers, okay, who are real people, okay, than just have 10,000 fake ones. What's the point? What, just to go into a room and say, yeah, I've got 20,000 followers, and it's not real.
I think it's quite common in America.
But I don't see why. Like, we talk about authenticity, okay, and that is one of the things that certainly in my career I've tried to hold as one of the highest regard. I want to be authentic and I want to be genuine to people. And by going into a room and being fake, You're not being genuine. And that's the same on our platforms. It does no good. Why do it? How is it going to benefit you financially? What, just because you want to go into a room and say, yeah, I've got 20,000 followers and like act like a big man? Come on. Like, there is no point whatsoever. And all you've got to do is keep being consistent. And like you said, you will hit posts where you'll get 100 new followers, or you'll do collaborations. And again, you know, we've both started to do a lot of collaborations with big brands. I did a big one with Sunseeker last year. You know, I've got one coming up with Henley and Partners. So brands which are like-minded to my business. Okay. We're in similar spheres of clientele. Okay. So the crossovers between the two, and they're going to be informative and entertaining. And suddenly my following will grow. But for me to have 10,000 followers and none of them are real.
You want to grow it organically. So you'd say to someone, don't buy followers. I was actually reading last night about Reels, and they were saying guidelines. And I actually think Instagram will prejudice you negatively if they know that you've bought followers, but they won't push your content out as much. So it could actually hinder you. Yeah,
100%. Like, I just don't see there being any point to it, apart from you just want to go in and act like, you know, you've got 100,000 followers and they're all fake.
So,
you know,
if you could give 3 top tips
Yeah.
to someone starting in real estate, or actually, no, let's do 3 top tips to someone who's in industry,
Yeah.
but doesn't have a social following.
Wow, 3 top tips. Okay. My first massive top tip would be stop overthinking and just do it. Do not worry about, oh my God, I don't like the way I said or was my hair slightly out of line? Just do it. My second top tip would be your tip that you said earlier. You've got to start. And the third top tip is consistency. Consistency is absolutely key. Everything that you do in life or in your business, you've got to do it. You've got to do it every day. You've got to set aside time. You've got to post regularly. You've got to show people what you are like in your personal life as well as your career. And just document what you find interesting. And I think ultimately you will find your groove, and suddenly people will like to be on part of your journey. So that's my 3 top tips. Can you add to any of those? I know, is there anything that you would add to that?
Well, one of the things I alluded to before was being genuine.
Yeah.
Again, people like seeing honesty and that side of things. I would say ask for help. Don't be afraid to, if there's someone that you know or someone that you see that is good on socials and has been doing it for longer and therefore more experienced, reach out to them. I mean, I know for one, I've had recently a few people reach out. It's the best feeling.
Yes.
And I think people are willing to help because I've been in the position where I started social media and I was shitting myself. So I understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
So I would say be genuine, ask for help, and don't overthink it. Yeah. As you said, because it's one of those easy things to talk yourself out of. Yeah. Very, very easy.
100%. And look, the future is changing rapidly. We know of real estate. And I'm a big believer that the people who are going to win in the future are the people who can distribute data and information to the widest audience, okay, and have trust within that audience. They're the people that are going to win in the future, because AI, let's talk about AI for a bit. It's happening now, but in 3, 4, 5 years' time, all the information and data around real estate is going to be online, and you're going to be able to type it into an app of some sort, and it's going to give you that information. So for all the people that are sat behind those seats now, okay, in these offices, suddenly, what's their value? What is their value, and how are they going to attract customers and clients to fuel their business when suddenly you can type it in online, you can find an answer, okay? Now, I think that there is always going to be an element of like someone wanting a personal touch, that they want to hug you. They want someone that can read emotions and be a soundboard for them, and someone to speak to in person. That personal touch, I don't think will ever leave this game. However, when it gets that point in 5 years' time, and they can Google all the answers, and then they want to find someone that can add value to them, the people they're going to go to, the people on digital platforms that they follow. Because that's going to be, like you said earlier, the closest point for them to find someone that they know and trust. That's the person I want to work with. And so all these people that sat there behind those offices in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, like there's no value for them anymore.
And then so on the other side of it, that's the AI side in terms of having access to the knowledge and the data side of things. So on the side of AI in terms of content distribution on social media, at benji.weinberger.ai, check it out.
Tell us about this.
Plug.
Yeah.
Can you see agents like ourselves? Obviously, we're both growing out our team. You've got Mila, I've got Tara. Can you see having a Georgie as a Georgie.whatever at AI on Instagram pushing your content? So you have a team of agents that are human and team of agents that are AI.
Well, look, first of all, and we've spoken about this in many, many meetings that we've had at DDRE, there will be AI bots, like AI influencers, who are out there now that are producing content, have big followings, and ultimately will be able to sell real estate. Because the thing is now, as long as they have the marketing materials and they can send that data to a large amount of people who follow them, they have an opportunity to sell a property, to introduce and find a buyer. And Gary Vee said a couple of weeks ago that in the next 5 years, there'll be another 5 million AI influencers. Like, we've had influencers now, as in humans, people that we can touch. They're out there now. And in the next 5 years, you're going to have AI influencers. And so for now, for real estate brokers like ourselves and people who want to build their own business, not only do we have to now have our own personal brands, but why would you not strengthen by having an AI influencer?
So what are you doing about it?
At the moment, researching, but I'm actually taking inspiration from what you've started recently. And I think you should speak to everybody watching, because why are you doing it? What sparked
We have a DDRE Inspo page on Instagram where everyone kind of chucks in content that they see that they like, they get inspired from. Rosie sent in a article that showed an AI bot in Portugal just did $100 million in sales. I think it's marketing, but whatever, it's something. It's always been spoken about in our Monday meetings. There was one day that I was ill for the Monday morning meeting, so I was watching at home, and Danny was just banging on about AI, the AI bots. And I was like, okay, well, I'm at home, I've not got any appointments, let's do some research. So I did some research, found a couple of apps, paid for one, started playing around with it, and essentially I created an Instagram handle, shameless plug, at benji.weinberger.ai, and essentially I through this app created and sat and spoke for 45 seconds. It asked me to say a script, so I said it. So it logged me, my face movement, my hand movement, my expressions. I then went to ChatGPT and I typed in, give me 3 tips for a prospective buyer purchasing in London. Boom, 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 copied it, pasted it straight into the app, told the app to use my face, my hand movements with this script. 5 minutes later, it created a video with me saying the script from ChatGPT.
Wicked.
So whilst I'm the middle person doing all the legwork, and hopefully there'll be, AI that can automate that side of it. It's a video that is essentially 99% AI that is ChatGPT saying it, and the app is making me say it. And then I'm just posting it out. And I'm posting 4 times a week. One is an area guide. Again, all info provided by ChatGPT on areas that I specialize in. One is 3 buyers tips. One is 3 sellers tips. And I've asked ChatGPT to make a log of the 3 tips it gives me each week, so it doesn't repeat it. And the final one is a weekly market update of all sales in prime central London over £3 million in the week before.
Wicked.
And in the first week, the page had something like 10,000 views across the
Amazing.
4, I did an introduction across the 5 videos that I posted. I'm on 170 followers, and everyone I speak to talks about it.
Love it.
And they say, it's fucking weird.
Like,
I don't understand it. Like the photo that was just talking made me laugh. I had some friends that were like, they thought it was a spoof, that they thought someone was copying me
Hacked
and
you?
had hacked me.
Yeah.
But it's weird and it's new, and it hasn't been done in London, and in terms of an AI agent, and it is weird, and I'm testing and learning, and
yeah, of course.
and hopefully can pave the way for other people to copy, and I can then learn from other people. But it's a free hit, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, loads of people have seen my content and AI content and spoken about me. If it does work, happy days.
I think it's a wicked.
And I think that's, sorry to jump in. I think that's one of the things that inspires me so much about the business that we work in.
Yeah.
That I was inspired, and I think also encouraged by the people that are in our business to go and do that.
Yeah.
Whereas perhaps in other companies where they're a lot further behind us, no one would think about it.
Yeah, massive. Well, I mean, do you remember when I did that Hey Gen, when again I spoke to a green screen for 45 seconds, and then suddenly I could type anything in and it spoke in any language. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And suddenly we did that talk at Regent's University, and there's me speaking in Cantonese.
No.
Yeah. But because now the thing is, I can now type in what I want in Cantonese. Okay. I can put it onto my social platforms. I could sponsor it out to China. And literally there's me speaking in Cantonese. So all these people who can't understand, English.
Forgot that one.
Forgot that word. Can now resonate with me.
Yeah.
But imagine if you can do that.
Every country.
I can do it in every country. And now obviously, like with Instagram, for example, you can actually have things behind your front page, can't you? So people can't kind of actually see it's kind of like hidden behind your grid. And actually now you can then post out data and stuff to everyone across the globe too.
And I think that's why anyone watching who isn't posting or doesn't make their content personable, they are going to be forgotten. Because nowadays the younger generation are not using Google. They use ChatGPT, they use Claude.
TikTok to find stuff.
And ultimately with these LLMs, if you're not posting content where a lot of them now get their information from, you're invisible. You're literally invisible. Now, there is some value in that, and someone will say, well, my business is based off the fact that I'm so discreet and I'm so off. There is space for that, but that's a small section.
But there's a little bit of a point to that, because I actually had a not heated. It was a really good conversation with someone the other day who said this.
Who?
I'm not going to say who.
And they were agent?
like, and then another agent.
What company?
And they were like, yeah, but do you know what? We pride ourselves on not being on all this stuff. Like, we're super discreet. But actually, we sold 35-40% of our listings last year off market. Like, we know how to be discreet. We know how to have strategy. Just because we're loud on social platforms and we're on every day creating content, like, doesn't mean that we're not quiet and discreet and like an assassin.
We've got different routes to market.
We've got different routes to market. If we want to be able to be loud and proud and have mass, to be able to deliver mass impressions and get millions of eyeballs on properties, we know how to do it. But also, if we want to do the other way around, and it's a part of a strategy, isn't it? It's how we deliver, advice to a client. We don't just go out there and just throw mud at a wall and hope something sticks. It's very much a strategy of off market. How do we do it? Who do we collaborate with? How do we get the content in front of the right people using, our tech platforms? But actually, if we want to be able to collaborate and actually use our social elements to the best of our ability, we also can. Like, so actually, my point to them was, but are you actually then you haven't got anything more than just being quiet.
So
what does quiet mean?
So where do you think someone like that will be in 5 years?
Look, I just ultimately think how you market your own business now, whatever business you are, if it's a personal brand or if it's a business, if you're not doing it digitally, you are going to lose customers and you are going to just die in the future. I just believe that.
So in 5 years, they'll be dead?
Yeah, 100%. Like, imagine, who now puts something in the newspaper? You don't. Who now puts things in magazines? No one picks them up. Everything, like you said earlier, is digital. Everything is digital. And the people who will win are the people that we said that can produce most content and supply more information to a wider audience and be closer to the customer. So where is that? You can't be everywhere at once, but you can be online. I can now pick up my phone and speak to someone and probably hit 10,000 people or so in this evening if I want to, for free. Not leafleting anymore and like half of them just go straight in the bin. Like, if you don't do that, where are you in 3 or 4, 5 years' time once everyone's doing it and you're in a market and you're just so far behind? How are you going to win business?
I don't think you stand less of a chance. And as you said, it's the first person that comes into contact with the buyer probably has a 90% chance of doing the deal.
100%.
And if you're not coming into contact with the buyer first, you're not going to do deals.
Yeah. Well, mate, we've got the house in North London that we're both marketing on, Cranbourne, come through digital. Never met us, never met before, but had seen content online, liked the way we were doing things, knew it was innovative, knew it was different, and were intrigued to find out a bit more. And suddenly that's being marketed by us now at £9 million. You know, we've found buyers through social digital platforms. We've found third parties who've introduced buyers through digital platforms. So you can't say it doesn't work. But if a client doesn't want it, we're super respectful. We don't have to.
But at least have the option.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, why would you not?
What was interesting, Grant was saying on the podcast where we had him on that he'll go to pitch and agents will tell the clients that, you know, what he's doing doesn't work and will poo-poo social media.
Yeah.
But then he says to them, but they're also building their social channels themselves.
Yeah.
They're just not as good as me.
Yeah.
So I think everyone in a way is trying to do it.
Yeah.
It's just some are better than others.
Yeah. So I produced a marketing data report for a client the other day. And this is we've done agent introductions across all, you know, we've done stuff on ADVSR and collaborated with overseas agents. And we did the Brokers Open evening that you came to. Okay. And that everyone had their own links sponsored out. We hit just over 6.5 million impressions. Okay. So I've sat down with the client and I've gone, okay, via all of our digital platforms and everything else, we've hit 6.5 million people, right? You show me an agent out there now, anywhere across probably the globe, I'm going to say globe, who can hit 6.5 million people, buyers, clients, agents, third parties, wealth managers, lawyers, interior design firms. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, it's insane. But it's interesting. And also, the power of the brokerage, I will benefit from that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I was on a call with someone trying to pitch for a piece of business, a super prime house in Regent's Park. And I actually realized I had been speaking to him on the phone for about 10 minutes. He was connected to me by his neighbor. And after 10 minutes of talking, I actually realized he didn't know where I worked because I was just so passionate talking about our USPs. And he said, I've just realized, don't know where you work. I said, DDRE Global. He was like, this guy is in Dubai. He was like, I saw popped up on my Instagram one of your guys' videos. Don't know who, couldn't remember who it was. He said it was amazing and I loved it. And so the conversation then kind of warmed up a little bit. He knew about the brand. He saw what we do digitally. He is in tech and he's based overseas. And he's like, well, if I'm in Dubai and I've seen this content, maybe other buyers will see my house if I give them my house.
Yeah.
So whilst you're, slaving away, doing your content, probably spending money on it, investing in it, doing an amazing job for your clients, you're actually helping the DDRE ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because I then benefit from it.
Massively.
And then I go and do videos and then someone might see that and then they'll get a call from Jess.
Yeah.
Because she's closest to the customer. But then that client might have seen my video and is like, I like what DDRE do, so she'll go and win that business.
100%.
And I think we're just about on the edge of the snowball effect. And I think it's starting to gain momentum.
100%. Do you know, I wonder if it will get to the point where it should do now, really. And actually, it's a brilliant idea. I've just thought about it. If you're in the home county, because a lot of people push back in the home counties, don't they? Because they can't collaborate as much because the fee position is not high enough. And I think that we've spoken about this. It's about educating the client. Imagine though, if you're the local agent, right? And you say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have all the agents come in and create content. Okay. And I'm going to do a agent intro like we do. and for every agent around here who has influence in the marketplace at this value of property. Okay. And then they then can all post it on all of their social platforms. I'll wrap it all up. I'll edit it up for them and I'll send it to them and they can send it out to all of their followers. Okay. And they can send it out to all of their buyers. Agents are going to love going in because they're going to get free content. Okay. You've now hit every single agent and every single buyer with every single person's follower out there in the marketplace. Your client has got everybody. You've got everyone in the domestic market now working for you.
You're preaching.
You've won.
Converted.
What do we say on the first podcast? If you can distribute more content, you're going to find the buyer quicker and potentially get a better price.
But then also the reality is something that I've realized, when you work collaboratively with the other agents and they're good agents, and if they've got a buyer in tow, they're going to do the deal for 0.5%. If you go to all the agents and they also don't bring a buyer to you and you can show that you've been collaborative and you've sent all the links out, why would the client go anywhere?
Yeah, don't have to.
Because it can't be, I haven't given you the exposure. Correct. Because I've gone global, I've gone local. Here's the data. Here's your dashboard. You can see all of the data. We're on Rightmove. We're on Zoopla. It can't be me.
Yeah.
Because I am giving you everything and more that anyone else can give.
Yeah.
That when we take listings on and we can show what we do, rarely do we lose listings.
Yeah.
Should we go through
we've got some questions from people.
Quick fire questions.
So these quick fire questions, these are questions which you the followers you the followers have asked us over the weeks, either directly to Benji or I or onto our the real estate podcast account. And so these were relevant to today's topic. So we've just got a couple. Let's just go through them really quickly. They're quick fire questions.
I've got one. It's got to be one of your mates that's asked this. Ollie, be honest. Do you use your son to get more views on your videos?
Look, I won't lie. Like my son, he's an incredibly cute kid. My followers love my son. I think my followers love my son more than me. I've been speaking to Mariana about me and my son doing
agent intro.
a little agent intro, a little collab together, which will probably go viral because it's more my son than it is me. But yeah, like in a nice way, I've got a son that I can kind of utilize in a nice way. And actually so many people relate to me because of it. So yes, I utilize my son. Okay. How many retakes do you have to film and do you ick yourself out?
Okay, I'm going to try and say this in the most modest way.
Yeah.
But Fran, our videographer, does call me like one-time wonder.
Yeah.
Because I've got my strategy when I go to agent intros. Yeah. Like I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
It icks me out when agents turn up and they don't know what properties they're coming to. They don't know the size, anything about it. I'll always do my research before. So I go with my script. And the reason I know that is because I used to go and we'd have a half an hour slot and I would spend 20 minutes working out what I want to say.
Yeah.
And then I'd waste my time and then I'd have quite a few takes. But now I go knowing what I want to say because I'm prepared.
Yeah.
And I've done...
What about
150?
Let me flip it though. What about?
Sorry, they're quick fire questions.
What about if it's not an agent intro? Let's just say it's the one where you said you're walking down the street, you just got out of the car, you walk into the office.
3 to 5.
Yeah.
3 to 5.
And
takes.
why would you stop it?
Because I mumbled my words or thought it was really funny and it didn't come out funny, and or someone crossed the road in front of me and then I panicked.
Fine. Cool.
I probably know this, and I'll change it from DM to just comment. What's the worst DM or comment you've ever received?
Oh, wicked. Oh my God. I can't remember. It was like user 64948 blah, blah, blah on TikTok. He hated me. He
commented on a few.
He commented every post. I mean, this is when my early days
what
of
did
TikTok.
He say? What was he saying?
It was just like specs he used to call me. He used to say you're a miserable bastard or something like that. I would prefer watching paint dry. And it was literally like it's like user 649 and he's got like a picture of like a
cartoon or
like
something.
A cartoon. And you're just like, mate, I just used to have a bit of banter with him. I just put like, mate, you're my best follower. You comment on everything.
Okay, what would you do? Quick fire question. What would you do if you can put in a user and it tells you their email address and it's just Danny's email?
Yeah, it probably is. I thought it was you once. Let's move on. Next one. What's your go-to pose when you're pretending to be candid in a luxury home. Yes. What's your pose? What's the Benji Weinberger sophisticated face?
So for those who have been following me for a while and go back to my agent intros, I used to my arms.
We used to call Benji the baby dinosaur.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. My arms would be like this, like tucked in, and my arms would be out like this, and I'd be gesticulating like this until we went to Portugal on a team holiday. And we had this beautiful villa where we were filming content. And the night before we were going home, we were having drinks. And we basically went up on stage and took the piss out of each other. So someone would go up on stage, would make out that they were being someone, and you'd have to guess who it was.
Yeah.
And Danny went on stage and basically started doing this. And from that moment on, I've always gone one hand in pocket.
Yeah.
So one hand in pocket, and that's my kind of go-to.
Yeah. Nice, love that.
And also I like, and this could be a good tip actually, I like holding onto a mic.
Yep.
You get a kind of sense of comfort.
Yep.
So if you are starting out, I would maybe advise getting a little mic, and you can hold it because it's something you can just get comfort from.
Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant.
I've got one last one.
Last one.
What's the biggest lie estate agents tell on social media?
I mean, there's probably people out there that overemphasize offers or how many deals they've done. I mean, you see that a lot. Again, it's a bit of an ick that I get personally, where, you know, someone's been in the business for like,
sold.
you know, 2 years, and suddenly they're an ultra super prime luxury real estate advisor.
Ultra super prime luxury.
Yeah, that's like 50 million plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of an ick for mine. Just be authentic. Just be yourselves, guys.
And don't buy followers.
And don't buy followers. Just, you know, create content, be consistent, be genuine. And you need to, because it's the future. Right. I hope you have had a really interesting topic with us. There was lots of nuggets of advice there. Would love for you to reach out and give us some of your thoughts. And if you're starting, we'd love to hear your stories. If you've gained anything, please follow us at the Real Estate Talk Podcast. We will see you next week. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. See ya.
See you soon.